All right, let's talk about one of the hottest and, let's be honest, most frustrating topics in tech right now, AI agents. Everybody's trying to build one, but how do you actually make one that, works? Today, we're going to dig into a practical blueprint from Microsoft's Michael Albada to figure that out.
It feels like you can't open your laptop or go to a conference without hearing about AI agents. They're being talked about as the next massive shift in technology, the thing that comes after the web and mobile. And the promise is huge, right? I mean, imagine an AI that you can just tell, hey, plan my trip to Tokyo. And it actually goes out and does it, booking flights, hotels, the whole thing.
And this isn't just talk. The numbers are kind of wild. According to Y Combinator, the number of startups they're funding that are building agents has shot up by 254% in just 3 years. That is not just a trend, my friends. That is a gold rush.
And yet, if you've actually tried some of these early agents, the experience can be a little underwhelming. For all the incredible hype, a lot of them just feel clunky or they break easily. So it really makes you wonder, why is there this giant canyon between the promise and what we're actually getting?
This right here, this is the heart of the problem. Michael Albada points out that building a prototype, a demo that works, say, 70% of the time, that's gotten shockingly easy. But taking that cool demo and turning it into a real product that customers can count on 99% of the time, well, that's a whole different ballgame. It's in that last 29% where most projects fall apart.
So how do we cross that canyon? It all starts with a huge shift in how we think about the problem. This is our first big idea. You have to focus on effectiveness over agency. The point isn't just to make an AI that looks like it's acting on its own. The point is to make one that actually gets the job done, reliably.
Okay, just so we're all on the same page here, when we say agent, what are we even talking about? We're talking about a system that's more than just a chatbot. It can think through a problem, it can take real actions using tools, it can tell you what it's doing, and it can change its plan based on new information.
This little chart explains that mindset perfectly. Down in the bottom left, you've got low effectiveness, low agency. That's your basic, frustrating chatbot. Top left, you've got your traditional automation, which works but is rigid. Now the real danger zone is the bottom right. You give the agent a ton of freedom, a ton of agency, but you haven't made it effective. That's how you end up in the news for all the wrong reasons. The goal, the place we all want to be, is that top right corner, a reliable agent that has both freedom and effectiveness.
All right, so with that mindset in place, let's get practical. How do you actually build this thing? It really comes down to mastering a core set of tools. And I mean that literally. It's about how your agent uses tools and how you orchestrate or manage its actions. At its heart, the way an agent works is a pretty simple loop. The big language model doesn't just predict the next word in a sentence. It predicts that it wants to use a tool, something like search my emails or check calendar. A piece of code then sees that, runs the tool, and feeds the results back to the model. Here's what I found, and that loop just repeats until the job is done. It's simple, but it's incredibly powerful.
But here's the catch. You can't just throw your entire library of internal APIs at the model and expect it to work. It'll just get confused. The design of the tools is everything. You need to create a small, manageable set of tools with really clear, human-understandable names. So instead of a tool called, run underscore query underscore table x underscore y underscore z, you create a tool that's just called find customer order history.
So, those well-designed tools are like your Lego bricks. Now you need to put them together. The simplest way, the pattern you should always try first, is a chain. It's just a fixed step-by-step sequence of actions. If the task is predictable, a chain is your best friend. It's way more reliable and easier to fix than anything more complicated.
Now, what if the task isn't so predictable? That's when you level up to a tree. You're basically adding forks in the road. The language model gets to a certain point and makes a decision that sends it down one of a few different paths you've already defined. Think about a security agent. If it sees an alert, it might decide to either scan the network or quarantine a device. It's more flexible, but still has guardrails. And then there's the final boss, the full agentic loop. This is where you really take the training wheels off and give the model the freedom to decide what tool to use and when, over and over again. Now, this is super powerful for really complex, messy problems. But you have to be careful.
It is much, much harder to control and to make sure it's reliable. You really only want to go here when your chains and trees get too complicated.
So you've designed your tools, you've picked your orchestration pattern, you're done, right? No, not even close. In fact, this next part is maybe the most important piece of the whole puzzle. Evaluation isn't something you do at the very end. It is the absolute center of your entire process.
This quote from Albada just says it all. See, anyone can build a cool demo and stop. The pros, the people building things that actually work, they obsess over evaluation. Why? Because you have so many choices to make, which model to use, which prompt to write, how to describe a tool. The only way you know if you're getting better is to measure it constantly.
And this is what that obsession looks like in practice. It's a feedback loop. You build a solid set of tests. You run your agent. You look at where it failed. You add that failure to your test set so it never happens again. You try to fix it, maybe tweak a prompt or redesign a tool, and then you run all the tests again. It's this discipline cycle that gets you from that 70% demo to a 99% reliable product.
Okay, so we've covered the mindset, the toolkit, and the quality control system. To wrap things up, let's just quickly go over the biggest mistakes people make, the traps that you want to sidestep on your own journey.
All these traps really boil down to just a couple of things. The biggest one, by far, is not taking evaluation seriously from day one. People treat it like a chore at the end, when it needs to be the engine from the start. The other big one is just bad tool design. If you get your evaluation process and your tool design right, you've honestly dodged most of the bullets. So why does all this matter? Why go through all this hard work? I think this quote from Paul Krugman about productivity really gets to the heart of it. The reason we're all so excited about AI agents is their potential to just make us all better, faster, and more capable at our jobs. Getting this right isn't just a cool engineering problem. It could be the key to unlocking a whole new wave of productivity for everyone. The only question left is, what are you going to build with?